Hello, kings and queens, and everything in between. Suns, moons, and stars, listeners near and listeners far. Welcome back to the Radically Rachael podcast. I'm your host, Rachael Wilde. I want to take a moment to elaborate a little bit on my opening there. Kings and queens, and everything in between. To me, we are all gods or goddesses, kings or queens. But I say everything in between because how you choose to identify, right, is up to you. When I'm working with clients, I invite them to visualize their higher self as a goddess, as a queen, a warrior, a mermaid, a fairy, whatever you identify as spiritually or supernaturally. I'm just calling you as you would call yourself. Kings, queens, everything in between. You are royal. You are a god. You are a high vibrational creature or a high vibrational being. And then when I say suns, moons, and stars, suns create light and generate light. Stars are also suns. We know that. And moons reflect the light of the sun. Moons are close in orbit to planets or planetary objects, right? Meteors, asteroids, and things like that. But the moons are bouncing the light of the sun and still casting their own light. The moon still has its own light and reflects its own light bouncing from the sun. There are times in your journey where you are going to be the shining star, the sun. You will feel bold. You will feel bright. You will feel like you are standing in your full power. There are also times where you're going to be a moon. You're going to be bouncing light off of yourself back at those around you. We need moons, right? We need people in our life who are going to reflect our goodness, our truth, and reflect our love and light back to us. Now also, moons have phases. The moon is not a full moon every day. Sometimes we have a lot to give others. We are in our full moon energy, and sometimes we are a crescent. We don't have very much to offer the world around us. So when I say kings, queens, and everything in between, suns, moons, and stars, listeners near and listeners far, I'm calling on you. Wherever you are, whatever the state of your current energy, however you are feeling, light or dark, in your power or on the ground, I'm still calling on you to rise up. Rise up, step into that crown. And our crown chakra, our crown energy, is at the top of our head, and that is our connection to source, our connection to spirit and the divine. That energy house within our body, the crown chakra, is what our connection is to the beyond. Maybe you are here and you've been a listener for a little while, and you are still figuring out what you believe or what you think about the beyond. You may be deconstructing and reconstructing, and what I would invite you to do in this time, in this part of your life, take what resonates and leave the rest. Take what resonates from my podcast or my words, but leave what does not resonate with you. You are cultivating and you are creating your own belief systems and your own lens of the world. You're creating your own church, quote unquote, church, just like I've had to create the Church of Rachael. I know what sits well in my soul. I know what resonates with me and what is life-giving to me, and I would invite you to do the same. In today's episode, I'm going to be teaching about spirit guides. I'm going to share with you what I know about spirit guides, and then also I'll talk to you about my own personal experiences with my spirit guides, as well as some ways that you can begin to establish connection with your own. Let's get started, radicals. Spirit Guides. What's a spirit guide? Everyone has a spirit guide. Some people have more than one. Everyone has a spirit guide that is assigned to us that will walk with us on this earth from birth till death. We will never be alone. Your spirit guide is always with you. Everyone has one. That I promise you. It is common to have multiple guides at different times or for different purposes in your life. You won't always be aware of all of the spirit guides that are necessarily around you. As you move through life and you have loved ones or ancestors who pass on, they join your spirit team. They are on your team of angels, but they are not necessarily your number one spirit guide. Spirit guides are loving, compassionate energies, and they are here to help us navigate life's challenges. They help us learn lessons and connect with our higher selves. Your spirit guide is not going to interfere with your life directly. However, they do communicate with you through thoughts, particular situations unfolding the way that they do. Wow, that was such a coincidence. And they also communicate through various means. So you might see your spirit guide in an animal that is always appearing to you. You might know that your spirit guide is close because you always see the numbers 333. And that is a sign that they are near. Now, I'm not saying the number 333 specifically, but maybe that's your angel number that you commonly see. I generally find angel numbers 222, 777, 888. I see angel numbers in my life on a daily basis. It's just the way my world is. So when I encounter angel numbers, I just know that my spirit guides are near and that I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Spirit guides are often angels or energies that were once human. However, they have decided not to come back to Earth School. They have decided to remain in the angelic realms and have chosen to guide others. Spirit guides have lived on Earth before. They most often have walked on Earth before, but when they choose to be a spirit guide, they aren't able to do as much true learning and growing as a soul as when they're here on Earth doing a soul experience. So if a spirit guide is consenting to be your spirit guide, they are in the angelic realms, working things out for you, watching over you throughout your whole life. Maybe your spirit guide will come down to Earth again and walk this place again, but for now, they've agreed to look over you. These angels, these spirit guides, they are a part of our great soul contract. When we sit at the big table before we get here and we make all those arrangements and agreements with people, I've spoken about this before on the podcast. We have karmic contracts, people that we're going to fuck shit up with, or we have people that we're going to do magical, beautiful things with here on Earth. But we're signing all these contracts and agreements, and we're creating and writing a huge life story or a life map. I believe our spirit guides are a part of that writing. They're a part of that process. So when we are here on Earth, if we start to get very far from our path or we are very off course, I believe our spirit guides can help redirect us. Our spirit guides can send us signs. Our spirit guides can send us warnings, but they're not necessarily going to grab the steering wheel of your car and veer it into another direction. You get what I'm saying? Spirit guides might communicate with you in many ways: dreams, intuition, synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences, maybe subtle physical sensations as well. It also needs to be said that angels and spirit guides, while they are so close, they are so near to you, they do not intervene unless you ask for them and you call on them and you give them permission. And why? That's because we have free will. But if you say out loud, spirit guides, I want to invite you to work in my life. Spirit guides, show me which way to go. Spirit guides, make the path so clear or so obvious for me. Give me a sign. If you say that out loud, if you call on your spirit guides and you invite them to begin to communicate with you or to work in your life, I wholeheartedly believe they will make their presence known to you. Now, a lot of the learning that I did about spirit guides growing up came from different psychics, mediums, ghost shows, TV, movies, books, things like that of that nature that my mom really explored a lot when I was younger. And she would share with my sister and I along the way the things that she was learning that she thought was cool. And so spirit guides are something that I have been aware of since I was 10 or 12. I can actually recall my mom's first experience with a spirit guide that happened when I was a little girl. My sister and I were shopping with my grandma for like back to school clothes. And this was in the 90s, so we didn't have cell phones or things like that. But my grandma had picked my sister and I up, and we went to the mall and we did some shopping. I think we went to a movie, and then we ended up mini golfing in a suburb that was a little bit a ways away from where we lived. Now, my mom knew that we were going shopping with our grandma, so after a few hours, she was expecting us back at the house. But we went to the movies, we went miniature golfing. This was like a whole day of events that we were spending with our grandma. We were having a great time. Everything was great. We were happy campers. But my mom, as the day went on, started to get anxious, started to get worried. She started to have these visions and worried about someone coming up behind my grandma and hitting her over the head and taking us girls. And like her mind was running wild, my mom's. My mom recalls being on our front porch and she had the feeling of, I think I might need to call the police. That was where her fear was taking her. But she heard a woman's voice behind her, over her left shoulder, say, "Mini golf." And she heard it audibly, and she knew it was a woman's voice. But there was no one on the front porch with my mom. There was no one out in the neighborhood. She was by herself. But when she heard that voice say, "Mini golf," she felt that bubble of anxiety burst. She felt a little peace. The voice was offering to her some reassurance, maybe some intuitive guidance to let her know we were okay. Now, when my sister and I eventually did pull into the driveway with our grandma, our mom was crying, she was hysterical, she was so worried, all those things. But when we told her, we went to the movies, we went miniature golfing. What? Guys, like she was floored. She was shocked. This kind of experience had never happened to her before. She had never heard an audible voice out loud in that way. We'd all had some ghost experiences in our house, but she knew that this was different. My mom was convinced from that day forward that her spirit guide did offer her some support when she was very frantic and almost at the point of calling the police, right, in her concern. At that time, I want to say I was going into 5th grade, so I would have been 10, okay? So that was the first time that I knew of and really began to have a belief about spirit guides. Now, at that time, I then knew, well, maybe I have a spirit guide. I always wanted an older brother. So I liked to imagine that maybe I had a spirit guide older brother who was taking care of me. And at times when I felt alone or when I felt afraid, I talked out loud, knowing someone's listening, whether that's God or ghosts in my house or my spirit guides. I knew that someone was listening. Okay, now we're going to jump about a decade in time, 10 years in the future. I'm a junior in college and I got the bad news that my cousin had passed away of a drug overdose. And it was tragic. It was unexpected. And at that time, my family didn't know, was her passing intentional or was it accidental? And my mom and my sister, they were at home. I was away at college. They had decided to do automatic handwriting to connect to my cousin who had passed on. Automatic handwriting is a spiritual gift that my mom has. My mom always said anyone could do it. Anyone could do it if they practice or if they try, but I've tried and I can't do it. So I don't know if that's the case, but it was a spiritual gift that my mom possessed. I'll have to talk about that some other podcast about automatic handwriting. Anywho, so my mom and my sister decide they want to connect to my cousin who has passed on. And they did. They sat down prayerfully, lit a candle, called on her. My mom, is scribbling over the paper in a relaxed fashion. But eventually they connect to my cousin, and my cousin began writing words, and her handwriting was so just big and beautiful and curly and scripty, and it just looked nothing like my mom's handwriting. But she was writing about heaven. She was writing joy, joy, joy over and over again, and her exclamation points had hearts, writing with such expression. But my mom and my sister asked her questions, asked her about her life, asked her about her passing, asked her about the circumstances of her passing. We were able to find out that it was an accident, that this was not intentional. This wasn't suicide, but it was an overdose. My mom and my sister were able to share that with some of our family members who would be open to receiving this news, and it was helpful for them. It was an important piece for them. So then my mom and my sister, recalling on the knowledge that we have spirit guides, they decided to ask my cousin, what are the names of our spirit guides? My mom's spirit guide's name was Lizzie, a female, which would make sense because 10 years prior, my mom heard that female voice tell her mini golf. Something else that I recall is that my mom really didn't like the name Lizzie. Like, she just thought that was like basic or strange. And we thought, well, maybe it's Elizabeth, but she goes by Lizzie. She can't choose your spirit guide's name. So you can't choose it. And they asked what was my spirit guide's name. And some of you, my listeners, you already know. My spirit guide's name is James. Now, when I first found out that my spirit guide's name was James, I also was like, James? I did not like the name James back then. I probably wanted like a cool name like Chase, Ashton, I don't know, probably something like that. You know what I mean? And I also didn't like that it was a male. I wanted a female. My sister and my mom both had female spirit guides, and I had a male one. And at that time, I resented it. But now, as I'm bringing all these details of the stories together, it makes sense that I had a male spirit guide. I always wanted an older brother. And I do have a masculine energy that is near me and always watching over me. Also, as an individual, I tend to be more connected with my masculine energy. So I also think that tracks. Now, at the time, I was 20 or so, and I didn't feel connected to my spirit guide. I didn't really call on him, and I didn't really try to establish a relationship with him because at that time in my spiritual gifts and my spiritual awareness, I was still very afraid. I was very afraid of my gifts because I did have, what I believe to be ghosts and energies coming forward to me or speaking to me or showing themselves to me. And that was all very frightening. So I wasn't really interested in connecting with my spirit guide either. Over the course of my mid to late 20s, I did have experiences where I know the name James appeared to me. I would encounter the name James more than once in the same day. I never had a student named James, but maybe James would be the name of a character in a story we were reading. And then somebody called me on the phone and they were named James, or I drove past a James Street. Like, there would be occurrences in a frequent enough way that it became hard to ignore. Also because I knew my spirit guide's name. So when I came to it in my reality, I was like, oh, that's my spirit guide's name. But at some point, the frequency became more obvious. And now I know that was my spirit guide trying to make an attempt to connect with me, trying to get my attention, though I wasn't quite ready. When I was really questioning whether or not I should stay married or get divorced when I was 27, I was really struggling. And I don't remember if it was my mom or my sister, but they said, you should call on James. You should call on your spirit guide. Ask him for help. Ask him to make it clear to you. And that is the time that I began to really intentionally call out to my spirit guide by name, ask him for help, ask him to show me the way, ask him to make it clear to me, ask him to be beside me because I was really going through it. And this is around the same time that my spirituality really began to grow because I had already deconstructed my religion and my Christianity. But through my divorce and that season of life, I was reestablishing my spirituality and my beliefs and my practices. And that is around the same time that I started using spirit instead of the word God. God didn't feel safe to me at that time. God was someone, I felt judged by church for being queer, but really I was feeling judged by man and not really God. But at that time, I wasn't using the word God anymore. I was using the word spirit, using the word universe, and I was really calling on my spirit guide for daily guidance. Ever since then, James has made his presence in my life much more apparent. I see his name almost on the daily. Could be maybe I am picking a TV show to watch at random on my Roku, right? Whatever I end up selecting, the character's name is James. And I'm like, of all the shows I could have picked to watch today. Or a few times I've been driving and I miss like a turn. Even though I'm using like my GPS or whatever, I miss my turn. So I have to kind of reroute or whatever. And I've passed James at a park or at a church or at a street sign. And then I just kind of know, oh, hey, James, you just wanted to say hey to me. And I will see Jameses in my day in many ways. I even started calling my cat Tanner back then when I would be upset with him when he was misbehaving. I would call him like a full name. I would call him Tanner James. I was just really wanting him to know he is welcome. He is invited. What's kind of fun or special is that I don't have any crazy James stories to share with you all right now, but I've shared with James to my friends, to my family, and what's kind of cool is that I've been in person with people and we have seen a James together. The James, the name or our waiter or those kinds of things have come into my reality with other people who then can go, oh my gosh, James. And they then have a belief in my spirit guide as well. I also know that I have a female spirit guide and her name is Rhiannon. One time I was driving in the car with my ex and we were playing music on Pandora. I started talking to my ex about how I was feeling a female energy around me. I was feeling an energy in spirit that I knew wasn't James, but was coming close to me. I now know that this female guide was really helping me to awaken to my divine feminine and get connected to that part of me. We were driving in the car and I was speaking about this guide that I could feel near me. And then the music on Pandora suddenly skipped like 5 or 6 songs. And we weren't touching the phone, but the phone, like a bunch of tracks skipped. And then Rhiannon by Fleetwood Mac started to play. And I noted it. It was weird, and I noted it. Later on, after I got divorced, I started to call on her and James. And sometimes when I'm reading cards or working with clients, I do have a male voice that will offer me insight and a female voice. They both have a very different presence and personality. James, when he speaks to me, he is calm, he is clear, he is solid. Now, Rhiannon, on the other hand, she's like sassy. She will tell me what's up. She will compliment me, tell me I'm a bad bitch, but I hear her and I feel her energy that she's very saucy. She's very sassy, very different than James is in my life. I don't feel both of them super strong all the time. I think that while I know that they are both there, I know that they really come forward when I need them, when I'm seeking guidance, or when I'm astray and they really need to get me back on the right path. So sometimes in my life when good things happen, I'll say, thanks, Spirit, thanks, James. Or when I'm going through a crisis, I'm feeling really stressed, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know what to do, I will literally say out loud, "James, throw me a bone." I've also done some card readings or guided meditations that are specific for connecting with your spirit guides. And so I've used those to get a little bit more information about James and who he was, and who he was to me. I believe that we've done life together before. Maybe we were romantic partners. Maybe we were brothers and sister. I'm not really sure, but I do know that James and I will continue to develop and explore our relationship and connection as time goes on. And I do believe that I will continue to see him and have connections with him forever. In wrapping up this podcast, I would really like to give you some tips at how to connect to your spirit guides. The spiritual community believes that we can connect to our spirit guides by asking for them, by calling on them to come close. And if your spirit guide knows that you are truly, authentically ready to begin this journey, to begin this part of your spiritual path, your spirit guide will make their name apparent to you, or they will give you some signs or some synchronicities to know that they are listening and responding. It has been said that their name or an object or sign will appear to you 3 times. So if you've never called on angels or you've never called on spirit guides, it's not too late. You don't have to miss out. You have a spirit guide already, whether you know it or not, whether you have believed it up until this point or not. I know you have one. They're walking alongside you every day, every moment that you are here on Earth. And if you are open or you're interested in connecting with your spirit guide, in the next few moments, I'm going to say some phrases and I would invite you to repeat them out loud. So we're not doing affirmations today, but instead, I'm going to help you to call on your spirit guide, spirit guides, and your angel team. So you can pause this part of the episode to come back to later when you're ready to have a little spiritual moment, or you could simply repeat these words right now, wherever you are, in your car, in your shower, at work. You can call on them. It doesn't have to be some sacred ritual moment. It can be as simple and authentic as the moment right here, right now. So when you're ready, radicals, repeat after me. Spirit guide, spirit guides, angels, and loved ones. Thank you for watching over me. Thank you for walking with me all the days of my life. Thank you for agreeing to be a part of my soul's journey. I desire to know you. I want to invite you into my life. I want to allow you to work through me and work in my life. Please make yourself known to me. I will be looking, I will be listening, and I will be waiting for you to show yourself and reveal yourself to me. I trust and know that you are near, and I believe that you will make yourself known to me when I am ready. Thank you. I love you. Good job, radicals. I know that feels a little weird. It feels a little funky. Maybe you've never done anything like that before, so I'm really proud of you. Good job. And I can't wait to hear the beautiful stories and the things that come from this podcast. Please connect with me on socials, leave a comment, leave a review on the episode. Let me know what your experiences with spirit guides have been. Thanks for joining me today. Stay radical.